What's going on, chat? We're just gonna let some people get in here and we'll get started. What's going on, Bryce? Bridget? Kyle? Barry? Michael? Yeah. Wait, Sky, are you in here? Let's see if Sky gets in here. Guys, my stepdad's here. He's right, you can't see him, he's right here. Wait. He's right here. Right, wait. That's over here. There he is. What are we waiting for? Well, I usually don't start my streams right away. What's it say the 6 in Central Kentucky looks like now? I'll take a look at that real quick. Alright, let's see. We'll just go to modeling real quick and go to weather belt. Actually, here, let's take a look at the Euro. I'll turn this down a little bit. There we go. And let me set this up so you can actually see what I'm looking at. This will probably be a slower stream because there's no interesting weather going on. A slower one.
Slower.
Because there's not much. No, there's not much going on. So, all right, let's look at the Euro. Let's look at the 6 in Kentucky. Was that Kentucky? Right? Or am I making things up? Yeah, I turned the music down. Is that a little better? 6 isn't too far away now. Let's look at our 12Z. Nice little high pressure settling in there over the Ohio and Tennessee Valley. Potentially 1019, 1022 high. So it might be nice, although I would assume it's going to be cold though, because you can see the jet stream right here. You can look at that trough digging in. We'll go to our 500 millibar height. It wasn't? Oh, wait, one more time. All right, Sky, wait, Sky, look.
No, it was Jen.
Oh, Jen. Yeah, look at this. Look at this big amplified trough digging down into the Ohio Valley on the 5th. Every model sees this GFS Canadian Euro. So this is going to be a ton of cold air. So it's probably going to be cold and potentially pretty dry Kentucky, Tennessee on the 5th and 6th. Let's take a look at our temperature anomalies at that point. There you go. 10, 15, 20 degrees below average on the 6th. And I'd assume it's going to be pretty dry because if you have any weather, it's going to be on the front side of that trough. So maybe it's a little bit rainy on the 4th and 5th, but not on the 6th if this holds. Michigan, yeah, Michigan's getting cold. Michigan could see temperatures 20 to 25 degrees below average. You guys are going to see wind chills in the high 30s, low 40s. Middle to the end of next weekend and next weekend. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, you'll see wind chills in the high 30s. Middle next weekend and next week. This is going to try to make it over to the mid-Atlantic coast, New England, but you still got a little bit of temperature regulation from the Atlantic there. Takes a little bit more of winter to get over there. What's going on, Laddie? I appreciate that. Connor, the season's approaching. No. Winter's coming is the right thing to say. Winter is coming. The GFS and Euro see continuous blasts of cold air through the second week of September now. We could end up seeing... This could end up being, for some, especially out in the Ohio Valley, and potentially inner New England. I would say this region right here, this could end up being pretty close to a record-breaking September cold-wise if these models continue to hold like this. There's the European, here's the GFS, which the GFS is doing crazy things. Let me show you what the GFS is doing. If the GFS comes true, we're going to have tons of records set. Look at our temperature anomalies on the GFS. We'll just push into central US. All right, here's our apparent temperatures on the GFS. Watch this. This would be absolutely insane. There we go. We have apparent temperatures getting below freezing. In the beginning of September, we have 28 degrees, 27 degrees, 26 degrees. And then here we go. We have temperatures in northern Arkansas getting down into the 50s. Widespread 40s, widespread 30s through portions of the northern plains, Midwest, upper Midwest. And then that starts to push out east. You get now 40s into northern Georgia. Apparent temperature. Let's go a little bit east. This would be very cold. Yeah, this would be very cold. This would also potentially lead to some severe weather out here. That clash in temperature. Oh, these daytime temperatures? No. If you get into the 40s and 30s in September, those are your lows. In the morning, it'll be pretty chilly. I mean, if you want to look at the highs these days, like we're talking about up here, your highs are high 40s, 50s. East Coast, you're telling potential record-breaking winter. I'm not saying a record-breaking winter. I'm saying this event could bring record-breaking cold for a few days, and then we have a second. If the GFS is correct, which we'll see, it has a second round of cold coming. It has one trough digging in, bringing a ton of cold, a little bit of heat replacing it, and then a whole second one coming in for the second week. This would be just this would pretty much be in the first 14 days of September, you'd have like 11 of them below average, like well below average. Look at that. It's doing weather things. The weather be weathering. Yeah, I agree. What are your possible predictions for this winter for the East Coast? I'll show you. I did my winter forecast. I'll bring it up here in a second. Let me pull it up. Here's my... Let's see if I can... Here it is. Is this it? Okay, here's my winter forecast. We'll pull it up over here. This special marine warning has been updated. Here's my winter forecast. We should be in a weak La Nina, although our Nino 3 and 4 are really moving too quickly. They're getting cold too quickly, so I'm worried we might go into a moderate La Nina, which would throw off everyone's forecast, including my own. Although I still think for now we're safe in a weak La Nina. Here's the biggest difference between a weak La Nina and a moderate La Nina. I actually have a forecast that more represents a moderate La Nina, but that's because we have an extremely warm northern Pacific. So, dry and mild. Now, this doesn't mean you can't get snow down here and you can't get a big Arctic blast. It's just if you average up 3 months of winter, on average, it'll probably be a little bit warmer, a little bit drier than normal. Above average snow through portions of the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, and Mid-Atlantic. That's probably welcoming news to a lot of people in the Mid-Atlantic who've had no snow in a long time. Large snowstorms from New England, polar vortex. I think we're going to have an issue getting a lot of snow up here in the northern plains and upper Midwest, because especially if we do hold into a weak La Nina, or northern plains and upper Midwest, you get a cold core high setting up, which I explained in my stream earlier. A cold core high is basically the temperatures are so cold you can't get any lift in the atmosphere, you can't get any clouds forming, any condensing moisture, and it's basically what happens in Siberia in winter. Siberia is freezing and they get no snow because they just have a cold core high sitting over them. So with the weak La Nina, you can get cold core highs that sit up over the northern plains and upper Midwest. Dry and mild, this is my big, I'm actually pretty confident in this average snow. But dry and mild, this is my biggest question mark. Because if we do enter, the difference between a weak La Nina and a moderate La Nina in the Northwest, specifically the Pacific Northwest, is drastic. Moderate La Ninas absolutely dump snow in the Pacific Northwest, and weak La Ninas tend to be drier. So this could end up being a big flop if the Equatorial Pacific continues to cool. Thanks, guy. Blue, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while. Music's a bit loud. Wow, this is the volume it's always at. Must be. Oh, you know, maybe I have my computer volume a little bit louder today. That's probably what it is. I'll turn it down a little bit. There you go. Yeah. Large snowstorms in the Northeast for years. Well, it's not specifically. I mean, we did have some large snowstorms in inner New England last year. It's not like the entire. It's not like the entire Northeast is going to get slammed with major snowstorms. We saw above average snow through portions of upstate New York, western portions of upstate New York, and northern portions of upstate New York, and Vermont and New Hampshire did really good with snow last year. Portions of Maryland did really good with snow last year as well. They finally had an average to slightly above average year. They were in a snow drought for a long time, but most of the snow went to the north and to the south of Philly and New York City. Once again, that's not going to happen this year. Will there be snow on Christmas? You know, if we truly, let me show you guys this. If we truly do stay in a weak La Nina, out of all of our Enzo cycles, strong El Nino, moderate El Nino, weak El Nino, Enzo neutral, and then weak, moderate, and strong La Nina. Weak La Ninas tend to be the actual most predictable, which is good news. Let me show you this. Okay, look at weak La Ninas if we are in one. And what's important to see here too is, well, I'll show you on a different chart, the confidence in this. This is a typical weak La Nina winter, where you have a large portion of the country that is, let me switch this over here for you. You have a large portion of the country that is below average temperatures, typically, except for down here. Not always though, especially not if we transition into a moderate La Nina. But where this gets more interesting is, now let's look at precipitation. Okay, this is going to be dry for the mid-Atlantic, but there's other things we have to take into account, like an extremely warm Northern Pacific, or NPO, North Pacific Oscillation, which would likely bring more storms off here into the East Coast. So I think we're actually going to have a much more snowier section right here, including the mid-Atlantic and portions of, like I said, Ohio, Tennessee Valley, and then up through New England. Because you can't just look at your ENSO, and it also depends when the MJO, or Madden-Julian Oscillation. If we get an MJO phase 7-8 that comes through in January, February, like it did last year, that's how you end up with a foot of snow in Tallahassee, Florida. What's going on, NTX? But here's what I wanted to show you. Now, look at the confidence in a weak La Nina forecast. Let me pull it up. It's in my bookmarks somewhere. Let's see if I saved it here. Climate analogs. No. It's in here somewhere. One second, guys. Snowfall type yearly anomaly. Here, it's one of these. Let's go back here. And then let's look into, I'll go into El Nino. It would be I'm loving the cool August temperatures in Texas. I know. We're about to get a little bit more. Evan Mod here and I approved this message. What's going on, dude? I haven't talked to Evan in a little bit. It's this winter is this winter pattern favorable for lots of nor'easters? Yes, even I would say you'd prefer to be in a La Nina, yes, than an El Nino. El Nino actually, even though you typically average more snow in the south, it's actually typically more like clipper systems. Let's see if I can get this Enzo diagnostic. This is what I'm looking for here. Here's our latest. This was our early August CPC official probabilistic Enzo forecast. Getting much more confident for La Nina, but we know we're going to be in a La Nina. The question is it going to be weak or moderate? We are already down here. So we're already on the lower end of these models. So, but remember, you have to be below the waters the waters at the equatorial Pacific have to be 1 degree Celsius below average or more for at least 3 months to transition into a moderate La Nina. So even we're going to have moderate La Nina temperatures in the equatorial Pacific, but they have to stay like that for 3 months. So we would have to go into a moderate La Nina like right now to actually call this a moderate La Nina winter, because you would want to transition before December. That's why I think we're still probably going to be weak La Nina, and that's much more predictable, and then my winter forecast would have a better chance of being right. Marissa, what's going on? I appreciate that. Lean, Blue, Jasmine, Grant, Ashley, Yali, what's going on? Ooh, what was that? Blue, I appreciate that. Thank you, Blue. Actually, I don't even think I've seen that. Sage. All right, anyways, here, let me go over some stuff really quickly. Let's look at the tropics. There's nothing going on really, but we'll talk about it for a second just to get people updated. Let's go to tropical tidbits. Oh, I pulled everything over here. I'm losing all of my, there we go, tropical tidbits. Going here, we'll go to pivotal. Interestingly enough, if you were to go, that's strange. 1 second, guys. Let me close out of this and reset this. I gotta pull this map over here. There we go. If you go to the end of our GFS run right now, we have 3 tropical storms in the Atlantic. Obviously, don't trust La La Land territory, but I do want to show you it just because it is interesting. Because remember, peak hurricane season is in about 2 months, around September 15th. So I did want to show you this really quickly. Yeah, peak hurricane season. So here we go. Move forward. We have a disturbance right now coming off of the African coast, moving into the MDR, main development region. That's very likely going to develop. There's tons of Saharan dust moving off the African coast, but there's way more moisture in the air with that pocket of convection that's coming off. Our Bermuda high is sitting pretty far up to the north and east. I think we're going to end up with a bunch of fish storms, although at the end of the GFS run, it does show a locally grown storm right out there, potentially heading up north. Obviously, this is very, very, very early, so I wouldn't worry too much right now. But as I said, as we transition into September, remember, last hurricane season was an absolute dud until like the end of September, and then suddenly we had Hurricane Helene and Milton as Cat 5s in the Gulf. And that's what happens as you get into September and October when the waters are baking, and it doesn't really matter how much wind shear or Saharan dust is in the air. You can typically get some strong stuff spinning up, especially because we're going to be in a La Nina, and our jet stream that would typically tear these storms up in the Caribbean is going to be up in Canada on vacation. Wait. Yeah, Blue, I appreciate you. Seriously, I haven't seen you in a while. September 10th is typical peak. I thought it was September 15th. Am I going crazy? You might be right. Right about. Yeah, September 10th. September 10th. 10 days? 11 days away? Yeah, it'll move back and forth. No, you're right. You're right, Blue. You know what you're talking about. Appreciate you, NTX. How's everyone doing tonight? Holiday weekend. And it's a nice holiday weekend for most. I mean, look at this. Cool temperatures. I mean, let's be honest, okay? Let's just be honest. 80% of the U.S. population lives east of this line, so the majority of us are pretty comfortable in the U.S. They're baking out here in the West, but cool. We're especially going to end this weekend cool. And then if we take a look at our excessive rainfall, the plains, they've been suffering for a while out there. Multi-day. Again, the majority of us, though, if you look over the next 72 hours, this light green and dark green's less than a half inch of rain in 72 hours. It's kind of like a tenth of an inch of rain. Lots of below average temperatures and lots of dry conditions for a lot of these big population centers out here. Ohio Valley, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, New England. So that's good for your weekend. Gasp, where did my subscription go? I know, I've been losing lots of subs. Digging the cooler weather? I know, for sure. Omaha's all sorts of wet? Yeah, that's going to continue for a little bit longer. I feel like I have so many people in my streams from Omaha. Omaha. I mean, it's been about 30 degrees cooler than last week, and it's raining. None of us in Oklahoma. Yeah, exactly. No one in Oklahoma is complaining about this weather, exactly. And look at general thunderstorms today. We don't even have a marginal risk for severe weather for the next 3 days. I think we're gonna get something like I said out here. I think we'll get a slight as that trough moves in around the 3rd, 4th. I think somewhere out here, Kentucky, West Virginia, PA, Virginia, Maryland is gonna have a little bit of a mean thunderstorm or two. Does Michigan have potential for frost? Yeah, I mean the UP definitely does, and definitely Upper Michigan as well. UP, I mean, we're seeing some pretty cold temperatures up there. That'd be a pretty early frost. I wonder if that'd be a record. Is summer over for Northeast Ohio? Not yet. I think we have one more big warm-up. Okay, guys, you know I love my teleconnections, so let's look at them real quick. Speaking of that. All right. Teleconnections. Let's take a look. Is winter over? I can tell you this. If you hate it. Oh, Blue, I appreciate the sub again. Thank you, Blue. Are you in my Discord, Blue? If not, we got to get you in there. Okay, so check this out. European weeklies. PNA. If you hate the heat, you'd much rather be on the East Coast with this. I mean, our Pacific North American oscillation is staying positive pretty much. Positive to neutral until all the way out towards maybe September 23rd, 24th on the latest Euro weekly. So positive PNA means typically ridging out west, troughing in the east. So this is a good sign. Although look at as we get into October, I hope this isn't right because we could end up being 90 degrees in Columbus, Ohio in early October if we get that negative of a PNA. Arctic oscillation though, Arctic oscillation is going negative around that same time, so that might balance it out. European deterministic, Arctic oscillations around neutral, that's fine. Arctic oscillation doesn't matter too much until we actually get into winter. It doesn't make too much of a difference in fall and summer because all we're looking at in our Arctic oscillation is, do we have a higher pressure over the Arctic or a lower pressure over the Arctic? Because if we have a higher pressure over the Arctic, that cold air is squeezed down south into North America and into the US. If we have a lower pressure up there, you know, it also controls the strength of your polar jet. If we're gonna have a polar jet that, you know, breaks, or if we have a polar jet that sticks together. So there we go. AO, EPO, doesn't really matter right now, but negative EPO is pretty good for cooler weather in the US. NAO is going to start mattering a lot. Remember, negative NAO is going to typically mean cooler weather and stormier weather out east, but this is neutral between 1 and -1. PNA, European deterministic. PNA staying positive all the way through the second week of September. This is a good sign that we might get a little warm up in the east, but it's not going to last long. You're going to average to below average for most. Like everyone from the plains out east. Doesn't matter how far south or how far north you are. And the GFS agrees with that. WPO, this matters a little bit more in a month. But it's looking pretty good if you're out east. Let me look at something. NAO, AO. Interesting. Will it snow in North Georgia again? I do not know. If we stick in a weak La Nina, your odds aren't as good, but it can still happen. It can snow in any Enzo cycle, technically. I know none of the forecasts on the apps are showing 90s for here anymore. Yeah, I know. They've kind of pulled back. They were showing this big return of heat after all this cool air, and now they're like, no, I don't think so. But our teleconnections, we're catching on to that before these maps were, which is why I like looking at the teleconnections. Climatology can give you a leg up. See a little heat returns for a few days, and then boom, another huge sinking cold air trough right back in. But notice the west. They're going to have a chokehold of heat for a while, and this is going to be a fire issue too, because they're going to have a high pressure sitting over there for way too long. Especially as we get into fall, winter, their winds pick up out here too. You got monsoon season down here in the south. We could have that's going to be interesting to watch what happens out west. But look at out west. Look at all the reds. Heat. Horrible. I actually don't even love having this in fall though out east, because if we were to have this pattern set up in winter, this would be tons of snow for everyone. But we could have it reset up. Again, if we're in a weak La Nina, a lot of people are going to experience a below average temperature winter. I'm loving the reduced heat in southeast Texas. You guys had such a hot summer. So did Florida had one of their hottest summers ever. I know none of the forecasts on the, oh yeah. Yeah, they're literally in a heat dome out west. It's terrible. My brother's just he's on vacation out in San Francisco. And he was like, how's the temperature going to be? He's like, should I bring jackets? I'm like, it's literally, you could be in record heat. But in San Francisco, record heat in September is like, it could get up to 80 degrees. It's not even going to be that hot. Because the water off the coast of Cali is like 60 degrees. Whereas the water off the coast of, at the same latitude off the coast of the Carolinas is like 90. Because we have that equator water pushing up and they have that Arctic water pushing down. New Jersey here. What's going on, Casper? Would love to join the Discord. Yeah, Blue. Do you have a Discord? Just add me. If you create a Discord, now that you're a sub, all you would have to do is just link your Discord and TikTok, and you'll be in it. But if not, you can just add Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Just Connor's Climate Corner, then HQ as a friend on Discord, and I'll add you, and then we're in there every day talking, and you'll get all the updates and all that good stuff. I usually post stuff in there every day before I make videos. So like, I'm starting to do like daily, I'm doing kind of the story of the day. So today, record-breaking heat is forecast for the west, while unprecedented cold for the east. Excessive rainfall expected across the plains, and Nino 3.4 could turn into a moderate La Nina. I'll usually make a post like that, just updating everyone every day. Georgia here, loving the weather we are having this weekend. I know this is so good for Memorial Day weekend. Brett, look at this. Look at all these below average temperatures for everyone out here. So good for Memorial Day weekend, especially because there's such a chokehold of heat for a while. New England update. Well, here, if you want a temperature update, this cooler sticking around for a little bit. Maybe you get a little bit of heat return.
New information. This special marine warning has been updated.
Yali, I appreciate the galaxy out of nowhere. Shout out Yali. Oh wait, hold up. Thanks, Yali. look, a little bit of heat returning, the end of next week, but then watch what happens. Boom, that gets pushed right out. And this is only 150, 180 hours out, which again, temperature-wise, the Euro does pretty good, 150 to 180 hours out. Once you get past 200 hours, it gets it a little bit into la la land, but I'm confident New England's going to have a below-average start to September. But listen, this upcoming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, when it's hot in New England, don't be like, Connor's Climate Corner was wrong. He knows nothing. Just like wait until Sunday, and then you'll see it get freezing again. When are you going to start putting these snow totals in the daily updates on Discord? Well, I am actually, the second there's snowfall. Because that's the one area of Discord I haven't, the winter storm and snowfall, I haven't done any updates because there's been no snowfall. But I think, oh my, yeehaw, ride 'em, cowboy. Thanks for the cowboy hat, Yali. Did I get it? Probably not. Nightstar KJ, I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, guys, the gifts. Shout out to chat. When they send me a cowboy hat, I have to go, yeah, ride 'em, cowboy. Well, I don't have to. It's just my thing. I would get yelled at if I didn't. I can't believe you guys made me do that for my stepdad. So yeah. So we need the cowboy shirt. Oh, that's right. Okay. Mods, in our meeting tomorrow, we're gonna discuss about the winter merch, which by the way, guys, we're giving away 2 of these this month. Connor's Climate Crew right there. Remember, all you have to do is be in the Discord and just like one of my announcements. That's it. You don't have to do anything. But we're gonna have everyone vote on. You'll see in the meeting. We'll talk about it. We're gonna have everyone vote on some new merch, and we're gonna do some funny merch too. It's because you're awesome. Will severe weather eventually ramp up, or is it over? Oh, we're gonna have a fall tornado season. Yeah, it's not gonna be like spring tornado season, but we'll have fall tornado season. Yeah, we'll get a couple of twisty boys for sure. Where did you move, Connor? You noticed I moved? Yeah. I moved to the coldest major city in America. To statistically the coldest major city in America. Remember, I think major city has to be 250,000 or 300,000 or more population. Yeah. Oh, fair, you gave it away. Minneapolis. What was that?
Free hat to whoever knows that.
Yeah. Yeah. Minneapolis, yes. I am in Minneapolis Metro. And I'm hyped for winter. I'm gonna do some snowstorm chasing, guys. I need to get my 4-wheel drive fixed before I do that. Matt may be mad at me. Him and Ro were battling, and I gifted her big. Oh my gosh. Oh, Matt, they're streaming too. I thought one of your TikToks said you were in Cali. I did live in Cali for a while. I've lived in Florida, Cali, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and now Minnesota. Hopefully cloud seeding happens so it can snow. Hey. You should do IRL snow streams. Oh, 100%. That's a given. I'm going to do that. Yes. I'm going to be like a child with snow this year. I'm going to embarrass myself on stream. Making snowmen and stuff. We're right on the edge of like civilization here in Minnesota. Like if I drive 2 miles to my west, it's just farms, like probably all the way until you get to like, I don't know, what's the closest big city to the west of Minneapolis? Fargo? I don't know. But I'll be able to get some good storms rolling in. Ship me some snow. Yali, I will ship you some snow. You can ask my wife. When it snowed in PA last, winter was ending and our snow was melting, and I built a snowman. I put it in our freezer, and I forgot about it. It was in the back of the freezer, and the next winter rolled around, and we found my snowman from the winter before. Survived the entire summer. What about Asheville, North Carolina? It's getting chilly soon. Oh yeah, Asheville. Especially with the second round here, you guys could get wind chills in the high 30s, low 40s. Definitely a couple times in the beginning of September. I don't think you're going to get any flurries yet of snow, but it'll get cold. That's actually impressive, yeah. I can't believe it didn't break apart or anything. I had a whole ass snowman in my fridge all summer. And then we waited for it to snow again, and I put him back outside. Is the Alberta, Canada heat going to stick around? I want to tell you no, but then I'd be lying. Listen, second half of September. I was saying the third week of September. Guys, I may have to push back to the fourth week of September based on how the teleconnection's looking. But October is looking way more friendly to the west, snow and cold wise. Way more friendly. 1-year-old snowmen, yeah. Snowmen usually don't last that long. It's the oldest snowman on record. Oh, guys, I'm definitely going to do IRL snow stream. I've asked my wife if she'll let me do a little, like, minor storm chasing. I'm like, little EF0, EF1, you know what I mean? A little slight risk day. A little 1.5 hail. But then she always goes, our kids need a father. What about good old Myrtle Beach? We got a taste of the cool weather. Now we're back to muggy again. Yep, you got more cold weather pushing in. Don't worry. You've got a couple more bursts of cold weather. You'll probably average out the first 2 weeks of September below average temperatures.
Has been updated.
New flash flood warning. Where's that? Texas. No surprise. You guys are getting a lot of. Here, let me pull over to our radar real quick. Texas. That's down there in southwestern Texas. Yeah. Shocker. Lubbock's in a severe thunderstorm warning. 70-mile-per-hour observed winds in Lubbock. Okay. Why is, guys, Lubbock has to be the most... I feel like I talk about Lubbock when it comes to severe weather more than any other city in the entire U.S. I did not know, like, I don't know what it is about it. Does anyone agree? Like, I feel like I talk about Lubbock a lot. I know we've been out of tornado season for a little bit, but... I mean, outside of, like, Oklahoma and Kansas. Confused Blonde. What is cracking? Bottles? What's going on? Have you been into any major weather events? Okay. I was in Francis and Jean that hit Palm City within 3 weeks of each other because I begged my dad to drive me up there because I wanted to be in them. Which one was the one we were in the closet and the screen collapsed and it sounded like a tornado? Francis.
No. Yes, that was the first one. Francis and Jean.
Yeah.
With Francis, then I went to Costa Rica, and then I came back.
Yeah. Guys, you want to hear something hilarious? So Francis and Jean both made landfall in around Palm City, like 10, not even, like 6 miles from each other within a span of like 3 weeks. So you literally had a Category 3 and a Category 2 make landfall in almost the exact same spot 3 weeks apart. It's never happened in history. Yeah, and both eyes went over my parents' house, and I was obsessed with weather at the time. I fell asleep to the Weather Channel. I started falling asleep to the Weather Channel every night when I was like 7. But, so I begged my dad, who lived in South Florida, to let me stay at my mom's so I could go through the eye of both those hurricanes. The first hurricane goes over, which was Jean or Francis was first?
I think Francis.
Yeah, goes over, does a lot of damage to the neighborhood, but destroys the big screen that we had over our pool. Then you guys built it back up.
No, we modified it.
Yeah.
We actually took, because only half of it was destroyed, so we eliminated that.
Yeah.
Half over the pool remained.
But then the other one came and didn't knock that one down again.
Do as much damage. No.
That was a horrible time to live in Palm City.
It did do more damage.
Yeah. But anyways, like the year before that,
That's the only thing that was damaged.
The year before that, I went through Hurricane Wilma. So I went through the eye.
What was that?
Oh, was it after? No, Wilma was 2005. What was 2005? Was Jean 2004 in Francis?
Yeah.
Might have been. 2004 to 2007 was a wild time to be alive in Florida. Charlie, Katrina, Jean, Francis, Ivan, yeah, tons. Wilma. I went through the eye of 3 major hurricanes basically in a span of, like a year, which they say like less than 1% of or it's like less than 0.5% of the entire world's population will ever be through the eye of a hurricane. So that was cool. And if you want to know why I love hurricane season, it's because of that. it's a lot less fun. It's a lot more fun when you're a kid and you get like months off of school because of hurricanes than when you're an adult and you have to.
Clean out a rotten refrigerator with a
Yeah, see,
because the power's still
I was a kid, so I didn't have to pay for all the repairs, and I just got to enjoy it. I can't imagine doing that as an adult. Confused Spawn, I appreciate you, but yeah, and then I've been like I was on some jet skis down in Key West one time, and there were 2 water spouts dancing with each other, rotating around each other. That was kind of cool. Could use some rain. Dorian. Will Tennessee see snow? If you saw my winter forecast, I do think we're going to see in portions of Tennessee and Kentucky above average snow. Yeah. Yeah, Lubbock be getting all the elements. 100%. Yes, I had computer issues and I moved, so I went from streaming and posting every day to... my computer wasn't even working for like 3 weeks. It was terrible. Finally, like, Geek Squad could not fix it. No matter what they did, they couldn't fix it, and I called up the company, because I have a nice computer, and I was like, do I have a warranty? And they're like, you have a warranty on everything. I was like, okay, start sending me parts, and I'll start putting them in, and then eventually it'll work. They finally sent me my CPU, put in the CPU, all my problems went away. But I didn't have to pay for any of it because it was all under warranty. Thank God. Because that CPU, if it wasn't under warranty, was like $1,800. It was like, or $1,500, something like that. What about good old Myrtle Beach? We got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I answered that. Yeah. Myrtle, Southeast, you got more cold air coming in. You got more cold air coming in for sure. Do I still work with Evan? So when I started working with Evan, that's when I started having all of my computer issues. And I was getting back into work. I started having computer issues, and then I applied to the job in Minnesota, and I got it, the position in Minnesota. So it was just horrible timing. It was horrible timing because I wasn't able to stream. Like, I started streaming with him for like 1 or 2 weeks. It was going good, and then I literally couldn't stream, and I fell off the face of the earth. So hopefully moving forward, we can get back into the swing of things. Because I did have a good time. I will say, though, Evan's chat trolls a lot. They troll. Yeah, they're a little bit mean. They're a little bit mean to me. I still love them, though. Most of the feedback I got when streaming on Evan's page was, Evan doesn't do it like this, or Evan would do this differently. I was like, dang, I'm trying. All right, guys. Well, there's really not much going on. As I said, the biggest stories we have right now, because I'm not going to stream for too much longer here. I streamed for an hour earlier, almost on an hour here now. Obviously, if there's bad weather, I stream for a long time. But the biggest news, if you are living in this half of the country, over here, you're likely over the next 2 weeks to see below average temperatures. So a cooler than normal start to meteorological fall. West, you're going to be baking. You could actually probably cook bacon in your driveways in Arizona. Tropics are quiet. Again, the GFS sees 3 tropical systems in the next 2 weeks. It's not crazy to think that could happen, being that we're going to be entering peak hurricane season territory. So that'll probably get a little bit. That'll probably spice up here in a little bit. Other than that, I think the other big thing we need to pay attention to, and I'm going to be talking about it a lot more coming up, is what the heck is happening out here in the Pacific. Why is this cooling so quick? Because it's cooling much quicker than we think. Meteorologists still don't really know, which is funny. You would think we know why these waters cool and heat. There's still an argument of, is it the trade winds that, okay, so here's what happens. Certain years you have trade winds that run, they're easterlies. They run east to west. Shira. Yeah. So something trade winds pick up that warm water on the surface and they push it. You can see it's much warmer out there. They push it into, they push it over there into Asia. And then you get all this upwelling because you take the warm water off the surface, something has to replace it, and it's the colder water beneath it. But then a lot of other meteorologists say, the trade winds have nothing to do with it. It's all deep sea ocean currents that cause the upwelling. I think it's a combination of both. But I think we're seeing some good trade winds and some strong currents that are really changing this. That are really speeding up our cooling out here, especially in the Nino 3-4. And I'm telling you, if this thing continues to drop, chat, and we end up entering a moderate La Nina this winter, that's going to throw a lot of people off. And that's going to mean a crazy winter for Pacific Northwest, Northern Plains, Midwest, Great Lake region. But weak La Nina, trust me, most of you in chat will prefer a weak La Nina, which is still forecast because that means a much more winter-like winter for many. I learned about the MJOs earlier. Yeah. Okay, as I said earlier, Madden-Julian oscillation, we've only really even known that we discovered that in like the 1990s. But yeah, it's a seasonal event. Big cluster of storms out here forms every 2 to 3 months. Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If phase 7 and 8 happen to be timed with mid to late January, early February, you have a lot more moisture in the atmosphere in and around the states while our temperatures are the coldest of the year. And that is when you get your historic snowstorms. The MJO is, again, like I said earlier, a big reason why we saw a foot of snow fall across the Gulf states last year. But it's too early to time the MJO. What causes an El Nino year? Well, I would say your trade winds slow down across the Pacific. Your ocean currents calm, at least your ocean currents from the north, because the north or the eastern Pacific is what brings the cold water down here. And so when that happens and you have practically no upwelling, this portion of water, equatorial Pacific, begins to heat up. You get a lot more evaporation, and then your jet stream down here holds onto that convection and moisture in the air, and your jet stream hugs to the south. When that jet stream hugs to the south, you get typically cooler conditions in the southern tier states in the U.S. for winter, better chance for snow, and also El Ninos are it's really hard for hurricanes, tropical development in an El Nino year because you have tons of wind shear across the Caribbean and Gulf. So, which is also weird because we're in a La Nina and the tropics are quiet. They should be very active right now. All right, guys, I am going to get off. I appreciate everyone being in here. Chat actually popped off with Gibbs tonight. I seriously appreciate all you mods. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be fun, I swear to God. It's going to be so much fun. But if you can't make it, I'm just going to record it anyways. Anyone who wants to join the Discord, Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. I promise you, it's a cool Discord. Everything you need to know weather. We even have like earthquake and volcano updates in there and all sorts of weird stuff. But it's cool. We have Enzo updates. We're going to have lots of winter storm updates in there. But yeah, I will be posting again tomorrow morning. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow night. And I think the big news is going to be, are we actually going to get that second push of cold air? Because if we do, September is going to be cool for a lot of us. And then what's happening out in the Pacific? Because this right here, these water temperatures are going to depend what our winter's like for all of you. So we'll see what happens with the tropics. We're about to be in peak hurricane season. That might be a story in a little bit. It's not as of right now. Thanks for tagging that, Morgan. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Just add me on Discord as a friend, and I'll put you into the Climate Crew, and you'll be able to see everything on the Discord. Okay, we're in Enzo neutral right now, but we're about 3 weeks away from moving into a weak La Nina. This is La Nina waters, but we haven't hit the 3 month. We haven't hit the 3 month in La Nina to consider it a La Nina. I agree, but we're gonna start experiencing La Nina conditions very soon. But yes, technically we're still in Enzo neutral, a very negative Enzo neutral. It is. It's free. Join for free because it's not gonna be free forever. All right, everyone have a great night. If I don't see you again, have a great holiday weekend. But I'll be back posting tomorrow updates, and I'll be back streaming tomorrow. So you guys are awesome. And yeah, if you did want a mod for my channel too, just add me on Discord, and you can always send me a message because I could probably use a few more mods, especially going into winter. We had a crazy, I think I gained 70,000 followers last winter. The streams pop off when there's snowstorms, and I love covering snowstorms. Blue, I'll add you right now. Good night, everyone. See you later.